The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of Your Box Seat. Yes, it is brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Michael Guerin, a very important week at both Alexandra Park, a key lead up to next week's Rowe Cup and Auckland Cup. And wow, we've got some good fields there. And Addington have the Avon City Ford Welcome Stakes. As I say hi to you.
Yeah, hi Greg, big hi to everybody watching either here in New Zealand or further afield where there's so much interest because the Australian invasion of the autumn is anything but over. No Just Believe this week in the Anzac Cup. He's having a week off. He's Rowe Cup bound next week. But really surprised, Greg, that Speak the Truth, not to a lesser degree, Better Eclipse stuck around for the Roy Purdon. I think it's great that they did, and maybe a sign with no Merlin, sooner the better, that the open class grade's falling away a bit, so it was worth sticking around for. But it's an intriguing race, the Roy Purdon, as it should be, named after the great man, and the support card excellent. 3-year-old fillies, great race. 3-year-old Trotters, best race of the season so far, and the 2-year-old Trotters get a nice early final, Greg. So it's been a thumper of the last 6 weeks here in the north, and this as good as any for overall depth.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And of course, Kai Valley Hotspurs join the card, if you like, going around in that feature trot this week. So what can you look forward to be driven by Tony Hurley, by the way. On Your Box Seat, we will reflect on Mark Purdon's announcement last week about stepping down in a full-time capacity for the All-Stars team. Premier Race Night review from Addington from last week, including Chaser Dreams back-to-back Sires Stakes victories. Craig Thornley was back in the winner's circle in a feature race. We'll preview that Anzac Cup meeting, go across the Tasman with Garrards. I want to talk to Michael about a trotter that was very good in Menangle, New South Wales on Saturday night. And we've got Rangiora on Sunday. They've got some finals there and some pretty good racing there. So all of that to come on your show, but let's get straight to the news of the week from last week. It surrounded Mark Purdon and his announcement that the All-Stars barn he won't be spending as much time at in the upcoming year. Well, a big week news-wise out of the All-Stars. Mark Purdon's joined us on the box seat. Mark, I suppose we have had many versions and many changes in terms of the training setup for the All-Stars at Rolleston, but you've decided that at the age of 60, it's time to make a significant change as your life has changed basically since COVID.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. And always thought sort of leading into say my 50s that I'd like to take it easy when I was 55, and now I've got through to 60, and when you look at what's going on around you, and your life can change so quickly that I'd like to take a step back while I've got my health and I can still do things that I'd really like to do in the balance of my life.
Mark, you've got a new partner in your life, Barbara Hunter, who's a big part of the Matamata Veterinary Centre, and I know that is part of it, but it's not the only part. It's a significant part, obviously, but it's not the only part, because when you've achieved what you have in the sport, there wasn't a heck of a lot left. You recently joined partnership with your son Nathan. You've won Group 1 races with him. You've won all of those premierships. So there weren't too many boxes left, were there?
No, there wasn't. And I probably lost that hunger that you need to pull the big ones off. And Nathan being younger, he's got that. And I can still be a part of it, more on a sort of consultant role and be there for him when he does need me. And as far as the shift with Barbara goes, well, she's well sort of well entrenched with the Matamata Veterinary Centre and a well-respected vet. So her sort of working life's more important than mine at the moment, and it's just nice that it'll be a nice sort of step right away from the barn, and I'll be able to just relax and enjoy things enjoy my life, and as I say, be there for Nathan on a more consultancy basis, and I'll be there when he does need me.
Yeah, so the training partnership at this stage goes through to the end of the year, and you'll review it, I'd imagine, at that point, because the Rolleston base, and we were trying to work it out before, since about 2006-07, you've been based there. There's 2 years to go until the development of that property, which has already started with a supermarket on the corner there of Lincoln Rolleston Road and where you are. There's 2 years left at that property, isn't there?
That's correct. Yes, yeah. And then it'll be developed. Like when we first went there was all rural on the other side of the road with Murray Allfield there, and Kevin Townley was there for a short time, and of course Fred Fletcher further down. Yeah, so that all became residential in that time, and ours took a little bit longer with the flight path being involved in a portion of the land. So now it's been rubber stamped, and we've sold to a developer, and we have a further 2 years to go before we need to evacuate.
Yep, so that's on Levi Road. Wow, what an establishment that you did put together there off a blank canvas. I suppose there'll be an element of sadness, mate, and it goes back to your late friend John Seaton, who I know encouraged you to purchase the property there. But back then, state-of-the-art facilities, and still even in this era, what you guys established there in Levi Road, it was world class at the time, Mark, and it's held its own right up until now.
Yes, it certainly was, Greg, and I was proud of the way it was set up, and there wasn't a lot I'd change when when you looked at the property and I first bought it, and there was 3 bare paddocks. You wondered where to start, but I'm very proud of what we did set up, and certainly the results we've had off it.
252 Group 1s, Mark. I just had a quick add up for you. Goes all the way back to Alva Colo in the mid-90s. And again, we talk about John Seaton and his involvement in your life at that stage. That must make you also very proud. If you add in the Australian Group 1s, I think Dave McCarthy put on your website that it'd be 300, and it would be at least 300. So that's a hell of a record, mate.
It is, Greg, and yes, it's a wonderful, it's truly amazing, really. And, I think along the way, it just had so many good people around me too that's made it possible, Greg. And go back to the early days, and Ilvacola and Pride of Petite were two of the ones I fondly remember, because they really flew the flag for me in my early days as a trainer.
Yep.
And, Gareth Dixon was associated with us at that time, and of course, Tony Hurley had a property at Ardmore there, and Tony and Suzanne. So the early years were wonderful years too, and from there, leaving there and going to Christchurch and teaming up with John were wonderful years also, and Grant Payne joined us at that time, and he was very good. He later took into partnership with me, and we were very successful. And then the later part with Natalie, well, she's been a wonderful partner too, and a real asset, like a wonderful horse person, and we achieved some really remarkable results through that era.
Yeah, I think 2014 is when you guys went into partnership, and 130 Group 1s, Mark. 130 in about 7 years as a training combination. So more than half of your Group 1 tally in that period. It was some ride in those New Zealand Cup days where I think one of them you had 7 or 8 winners on. It was truly a dynasty. Of course, you trained with Hayden Cullen, obviously with your son Nathan, and you're getting close to 2,600 winners as a trainer, just shy of Barry's record at the moment. So it's been a great time. Hey, just on a couple of those horses and special wins in Australia, those Perth Inter-Dominions stand out, don't they? Smolder for your late mate Neil Pilcher. I know that meant a hell of a lot, and obviously Lazarus's win there going back to back in Perth. No mean feat that.
No, that's right. And I know before I left, I remember Peter Larkin said, I don't know why, but he said none of the New Zealand horses have performed that well in Perth. and yeah, so it is different, totally different. And I think probably, Greg, with the travelling I've done over the years, you had to you just sort of had to evaluate different, different climates, different tracks you're working on, and different styles of racing. And I think with having that under my belt and going to Perth, I probably picked it up quicker, and they really performed well, those horses. But yeah, I think it was just the travelling I'd done in so many of the states of Australia that had taught me how to adjust.
Mark, you're going to continue with your role in the thoroughbred caper. Glenn Old's going to look after your team, and you're going to get down there a few mornings a week, and like you say, take things a little bit easier. But not totally lost though. You're still going to be part of the stable, and every day I know you're going to deal with Nathan. And what about driving, Mark? I suppose you'll be available to the end of the year and again reevaluate.
Yes, yeah. I'll certainly, certainly not going to miss the Canterbury winter, Greg. So coming out in the springtime, might have a lease of life and continue the driving certainly till the end of the year. I think that'll probably be the case.
All right. Well, we'll leave that for now because you've got business to do this Friday night. It's your dad's race, a race you've already won with Self Assured. He finished second last year behind Kango as well. Two-pronged attack this week. Don't Stop Dreaming and Self Assured. And you're happy with both?
Happy with both, Greg. Yes. They were having a more serious run this morning, but they just had a quiet week last week. That both sort of been racing quite a bit, and Don't Stop Dreaming's had a couple of harder runs, so we gave them a quieter week. But they had a nice hit out this morning, and I'll report everything's good.
All right, and Oscar goes to a trot this week without Just Believe. You'll be pleased to see him having a week off.
Absolutely, yeah. Give us a chance this week, anyway.
Yeah. All right, Mark, appreciate your time. It's big news for you, and I think it's very mature of you to decide that now's the time, the right time for you to look after yourself, because you've done nothing but look after this industry. And we thank you so much for your media presence as well. I know it's not natural to you, but it's part of the game, isn't it? You need to be part of the media landscape, and you've always been great with your time. So, yep, we'll look forward to seeing you ply your trade over the next couple of weeks and through to the end of the year. But thanks for your time on the box seat as always.
Good, Greg. It's been my pleasure.
It's always great to catch up with the great man, Michael. I was doing some stats to do that piece with him around how many Group 1 winners he had trained, and it was over 250. I then had a look at his driving, and I'm not a goat man. I don't talk about the greatest of all time, but I absolutely think he's the greatest in my lifetime, and I won't see another horseman like him. 1,700 winners, 1,737 to be exact. How many Group 1s do you reckon he's had in New Zealand, Michael, driving-wise? And I'll give you a little bit of a clue. 2017 till now, he's driven more than 50. Yeah,
I would have said somewhere between 140 and 150.
Oh, you're not too bad, Michael. 164 Group 1 winning drives all the way back to Godfrey in 1987.
Yeah, and plenty in Aussie. It's a weird thing that, first of all, I don't think anybody's surprised by this. On a more personal level, Mark has been a great friend to hundreds of people in the industry, driven winners and trained winners for hundreds more, and has got a winner home for virtually every person who's ever had a punt on harness racing ever in this country. On a personal level, I'm happy that he's happy. Barb, his new partner, is a lovely lady, and I'm glad that Mark is happy with her, and he's also happy that he has nothing else to achieve in harness racing, and he doesn't. So he's not stepping away totally, and having him there to work with Nathan, and I'm sure that will be more during the carnivals, Gregory, and more when they send a team north. These are all great things and a great transition. But it takes a lot of courage to leave something which you might be one of the best in the world at, when you could still do it for another 10 years very well. And I admire that courage. So good on him for doing that. I hope he has success with those gallopers he's going to have under Glenn Old's name up there at Matamata. It is the end of an era, and we have been incredibly blessed during this era, and continue to be so, by Barry Purdon, who is an absolute legend. And again, he's bringing through Scott Phelan, who now is a top trainer in his own right, Greg. Nathan obviously is a very good trainer. We'll see that later in the program with Chase a Dream, who improved heading home from north to south. But we've still got Morris and Tony driving so well. We've still got Colin DeFilippi. We've still got David Butcher, and again, that's helping the progression of Zach Butcher to come through. And we've got guys in the South Island like Jimmy Curtin and, of course, the great Ricky May. It's been a remarkable time to be involved, Greg, because these guys are genuine world-class horse people, and that's without adding in, you know, Natalie Rasmussen and a whole bunch of other people who I don't mean to leave their names out, but are truly great drivers and trainers. And you've got all these people coming through, but what heartens me is that Cran Dalgety is teaching Carter Dalgety, and Mark is teaching Nathan, and all that progression's going through, so you know that harness racing's in good hands. I think that's really important. Nobody should begrudge Mark Purdon taking half a step back. Whether those competitive juices, Gregory, kick back in when the good races come around, or, and this is really important, say another Lazarus turns up. Whether they kick back in then will be really interesting.
Well, Mark pretty much said that in that conversation. He also was very quick to reflect on all of the people that had helped him. You know, the partnership he had with Grant Payne. Obviously, he trained with Hayden Cullen. The huge success that he and Natalie had together, now with his son Nathan, and all of the people that had worked for him over the years. So, yeah, very reflective of that. To put that driving thing into perspective, our greatest driver, numerically, of all time, A.G. Hurley, 74 Group 1 wins, and Ricky May, 72. So for Mark Purdon to have more than double those two great drivers, and admittedly, Michael, 50 of those have come in the last 6 or 7 years, but it's still incredible. And when I passed that on to Mark, post that interview, he was like, I just can't believe that. I don't understand. I didn't think I was anywhere near that many.
Well, don't get me wrong, Mark's a wonderful driver. He's a great punt driver. He doesn't punt, but I like to punt when he drives because he gets it right so often. Sometimes he drives like a trainer, which is not good. Sometimes he drives horses overly quiet because he's training them, but that happens to almost everybody who trains and drives together. But to put that in some perspective, though, as big a number as it is, if Tony had been driving the same horses as Mark in the last 30 years, well, then he might have the same amount of Group 1 wins. I think any one of the top 4 or 5 would have done a similar job. Could they have done it as well while training a team of that size and all the rubbish you've got to put up with when you're training a big team and all the travel and personal upheaval? That's a totally different question.
Yep.
So, yep, I agree. His skills on the track don't need any embellishment from me. But more importantly, Greg, he's been very straightforward with a lot of people over a long period of time, sometimes to his own detriment. He's been very available to the media. He's a good bloke, and I haven't seen him, you know, there's no skullduggery about him. There's nothing cunning about the whole process. The good horses win, sometimes they get beat, and he seems genuinely happy. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him on level away from racetracks, because for none of us, whether it's being a broadcaster or whether you're a bricklayer or whether you're a plumber watching this or whether you train horses, that can't be the only thing you do. It can't be your only source of happiness, Greg, because surely that's not what life's about. And if Mark's willing to say, I'm really happy spending my time with somebody now, and horses can take a back seat to that, that is the absolute reward a man should get at the end of his career, far more important than a whole bunch of trophies that are going to get dust on them.
Yep, correct. They got another trophy though, Addington Raceway Friday night, another size stakes. Yes, 10 in a row for the All-Stars. They got the Quinella, they finished first, second and fourth. We'll get to winning driver Natalie Rasmussen post-race, but here's Matt Cross calling them home in a very good finish, a close finish. Cole Chisel getting through on the inside of We Walk by Faith and Chase a Dream, but here's Matt to tell you how it unfolded.
Chase a Dream has to get busy. They hit it. That's just about a dead heat. It's a photo finish between We Walk by Faith and Chase a Dream. Cole Chisel, I think, third, and then came Fessum.
Congratulations to you, Nat. Another win in a size, and he only just got past We Walk by Faith.
Yeah, he did. Little We Walk by Faith went great. He looked like he was up travelling down the back. I know he's a good little horse when he's right. So, no, I think he went great for Lev.
A really tactical race, wasn't it? Cold Chisel got there early, Hadron Collider. You had to move forward. You and Colin DeFilippi were jostling for a position. It was a real Group 1, wasn't it?
It was. They always are, these races. I've never known them to sort of crawl along in the size stakes and not make it a true run race or a good competitive race. But yeah, credit to this guy. You know, he just keeps digging and he always has a go.
Nat, he won the Group 1, obviously, 2-year-old size on Cup Day, and we probably wondered if he was going to get back to that sort of level, but his last couple of weeks have suggested that, well, he absolutely is.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, you know, they're just a really nice, even bunch. He's probably just been a little bit, he's such a good high-speed horse. He's been a little bit lucky here and there, but no, they're just a good, even bunch, and he's just a great little guy.
Half a dozen wins in the size. Doesn't get old, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Congratulations to you, Nat.
Thank you, Greg.
Liv, there wasn't much in that.
No, not at all. It was a bunch of no's, but he tried super hard, and we made a move early, and in the end it paid off, but just not quite enough.
Yeah, he got round really quickly. He was travelling coming off the back, and Chaser Dream's a very good horse, as you well know, but it took a good horse to get him.
Oh, 100%. We all know Chaser Dream's class, but this fella has been runner-up like he was on Cup Day to this fella before, so we know he's not the class. It's just not quite there yet.
Barry, your assessment of his run?
I thought he went good. Greggy did a bit early and sort of tight margins, aren't they?
Yeah, not much in it in the finish, and he possibly got held up a wee bit when the other two were rolling, but he's had a great run at it lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. You know, the winner was good. He was really good. So no, we were pleased, Greg.
Blair Vessam's got a cracking race.
Yeah, really happy with his effort, Greg. He, you know, obviously we followed the winner, but just when they really poured it on, we lost a bit of go forward. But once he balanced up and, you know, went for him, he really hit the line well.
Bob Butt, Harrison John, he's got a good race.
Hey, went real good race for him. So yeah, just hopefully he can get some more draws like that, more of the big ones, and he'll keep going good races.
It's the 8th time, Michael, a horse has won both the 2 and 3-year-old. They used to be run differently. Obviously, the 3-year-old was on Cup Day and the 2-year-old at this time of year. But when you look through the list of horses that have been able to achieve that, Honkin' Vision, Courage Under Fire, Chokin, there's a couple of others there I thought you'd remember, Elvicolo. You've got to be pretty good to be able to do the double, and he's done that.
Yeah, and look, I'm not sure it proves he's the dominant horse yet, because I really don't know what to make of this crop. I know he's a bloody good horse. So's Cold Chisel. The second horse was the run of the race, and I have no idea what to make of him. He's just up and down and up and down, and I don't know. I mean, the one horse I know who's going to turn up to war every week is Cold Chisel. I think flat out the best of them, Greg, if you put them all in a straight line and ran them 100 times at their peak, I think Chaser Dream. And then We Walk by Faith is obviously very talented, as he showed there, almost holding them both off after Sitting Park. Jury's out for me. I'm not sure what to make of this crop. I said about 6 weeks ago I think we might end up with 4 or 5 different winners, and I've seen nothing to prove otherwise. I think it's lot's going to depend on who improves the most over the winter, and maybe the horse who learns to run through the mental pain barrier the most in the second half of the season, because it does get harder. They go a lot quicker in the second half of the season, Greg. But good, fun racing. Not a lot's changed for this bunch of horses since November, but at some stage, Greg, one's going to put on about 20 kgs of muscle, like Merlin did, and come back and say, actually, hold on, I'm in charge of this. I don't know which one it's going to be.
No, and you've been saying that for ages, in a state of flux, I think you described it as. So, yep, I don't think that's changed at all.
Who's the best one? Who do you think the best one is?
I think for sheer ability, Chaser Dream, but I'm the same as you. I reckon Cold Chisel could bulk up and become the best. So, yeah, there's a lot to happen going forward. Of course, we've got Flying Stakes into the Derby. We've got a whole lot of other races between now and the end of the year to decide who's the best 3-year-old. You mentioned fun races. The Hydroflow Country Cup's final. This series has just been superb. Here it is, another cracking finish. Mwanga in front, Matt Cross to bring them home. Johnny Dunn. Yes, the Diamond Racing team had 4 in the final. It was Charlie Brown's night. Here's Matthew to tell you how it got close at the finish.
Charlie Brown, Ultimeteor still there. Double time, Dalton Shard, Ultimeteor, Charlie Brown. Here's the finish. Maybe Dalton Shard knows it's tight. Dalton Shard or Charlie Brown, not far away, Ultimeteor.
Congratulations, Johnny. This horse, you said leading into this race, you felt he was in the right sort of form to be competitive, and he's been more than that, he's won it.
Yeah, that's right, and a bit of mid-race pressure up front, and he's sitting back, and I had the momentum up round the bend and just got there in time, so it was great.
Yeah, and that was the key to it, wasn't it? Building momentum with him, because he can sustain a sprint like that for a long way.
Yeah, he can. He's actually a lovely wee horse. He wasn't far behind those good 3-year-olds. He's come back a bit stronger, and that's just great for Ross and Angela, the owners, and I give credit actually to Jeremy and Hayden Douglas down south. I sent him down to qualify for this race, so they did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely, they have. And Ross and Angela not here this evening?
No, Ange is here. Roscoe's actually in Melbourne, so yeah, Angela and her mother, they'll be having the wine.
Yeah, absolutely, as they should, and they've still got another chance still to come, but he deserves this. Dalton Shards, you've only got him by a nose, and Double Time was right there too, so it's a real credit to your whole Diamond Racing team. Yeah,
it is a big credit. You know as well as I do how much goes on out there, so it's like I've always said 100 times, it's a massive team effort, so everyone's a part of it.
And this race is designed for this type of horse. He lines up in the Country Cups, he takes on these types of horses all the time, and then he gets a chance to run for 6 figures.
Yeah, it's a great incentive. Like you say, they chip away all summer, and all those Country Cup races, which are good races the whole way through. So this is a big final, so stake money up for grabs. It's a good one to get.
Congratulations, Johnny.
Thanks for that, Greg.
He gets close to 200,000, Michael, out of the race. Ultimeteor very good. Dalton Shard obviously in second, only beating a nose there. I think Mwanga, and I did say it on the show last week, I thought $3 too short for him, and I reckon he's so much more potent when you can just give him one run at them. Obviously, Robbie Close decided to move early, but he's just not, at this stage of his career, able to hold these types of horses out.
It was exactly what I thought after the race. I'm not sure how he pulled up, but that's how it felt. I think Angela was pretty confident going into that race. She'd had the hair done. The hair looked good.
Yeah, it did.
So, yeah, maybe she knew. I talked before about the 3-year-old crop and horses learning to run through the pain barrier, because as they get deeper into their careers, they need to learn to rough and tumble and go through the lung burn to be good horses. That's what this horse has done. When you watch that field come up the straight, no horse is making any real ground. None of them are sprinting because they're going 3:58 for 2 miles, so the sprint's gone, apart from Smoke on the Water, who actually made really good ground. But the rest of them are just in a clump. They got to the 300 and the clump just moved. And Charlie Brown just worked past the front of the clump. And that comes down to what this series brings into horses, and what Derby's brings into horses, Greg, is it puts them into the pain zone. And they learn. Some horses seem to like it, and they can refill their lungs and they can go on with it, or they can run through a little bit of pain. And that's what the Country Cups Championship should do. It's bloody hard racing from north to south. They go really hard all summer and give us this wonderful spectacle. And then the ones who learn to handle that, Greg, I think can go on and become open class horses, like this horse's ownership mate Heisenberg did for a while. And the other ones go, well, I don't really enjoy that much. And the other ones we see knocking around in Country Cups all the time, and they don't win them, but they just knock around. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you can't instill that in a horse, you can't train it into them. Some of them like it, Greg, and some of them don't. But I think the fact that the Duns have beach working capabilities to keep these horses fit and sound is a reason why they are consistently good at bringing horses through the intermediate grade system. We saw this winning this race last year. The horses aren't any better than the horses they're racing, but they're fit, they're well looked after, and they go round a lot, and they learn how to deal with the pain barrier. And that's exactly what we saw there, what we saw last week, and to be honest, Greg, what we've seen a lot of in the last 2 or 3 years. Those Dun horses have turned up in every handicap standing start bun fight in the South Island. And they lose some and they win some, and they keep turning up. When I watched it the other day, I watched it 3 times, and I thought, these horses are too tired to sprint. And it comes down to how much pain am I willing to go through? Not physical pain, but like going for a run yourself, Greg. How much harder am I willing to go here to get to my goal? And I think that's the key to the Dun team. They have very few horses who change gears and whiz past horses. They have a lot of horses who will grind their way to victory. that summed up Charlie Brown, and to be perfectly honest, I think it sums up the Country Cups Championship.
Yeah, it does, and that was his 7th win. But like I say, he's won a heck of a lot of money, and he does sustain that speed, and that's the I suppose the fruits of being able to train them on a beach and train them to run for a long time at that speed. Right, let's move on to the 2-year-old fillies. This is with can print, named after one of the very best fillies in Bionic Chance. Here is Captain's Mistress. Gets to the outside. There was a real war up front early. I'll talk about that with Michael shortly. And the runner-up here, Stella Rouge, was absolutely outstanding after being that early burn. But Captain's Mistress was too strong. And here's what Nathan Williamson had to say post-race.
Captain's Mistress won by 3 lengths from Stella Rouge. Third across was Queen Tyrone. Fourth in caught the eye. Then came Captain's Have Time from...
Really nice filly. We knew that before she came here to Addington Raceway, and now she's proved it.
That's right, Greg. She's a lovely, lovely wee filly, and yeah, great to bring her here and her to show how good she is up here.
When the barrier draw came out, you probably thought, the better ones, or the ones to beat, if you like, have got an advantage here. But as it panned out, it probably worked to your advantage.
Yeah, that's right. There was a bit of speed on there early, and yeah, managed to be able to work off the fence. Yeah, like it worked out pretty good, and yeah, she was too good, so it was great.
Is she natural? Is she likely to get better, or are you hoping that, obviously?
Yeah, she's a lovely, beautiful gaited filly, and she's been a bit of a natural right from the word go. So, no, I've been really, we just, yeah, as you say, can hope she can get better, but she's, pretty good as it is.
Yeah. Break time now? Is that the plan? What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, I had considered going to Ashburton in 2 or 3 weeks, but we'll just have to see how she comes through it, and that may do it now, and then, look forward to the spring with her.
Privately purchased as a weanling by Mick Boots, this one, out of imaginary bet by the captain, if you like, because Captain Treacher is doing an incredible job. Stella Rouge was awesome there, Michael, because an early burn to get the lead at its first start. I haven't seen too many 2-year-old fillies under lights first up doing that and still having the audacity to hold off Queen Tyrone to get second. It was a great run.
Yeah, the winner looks a typical, not body-wise, but speed-wise, typical Captain Treacherous. They just had that real change-up speed, and you could see her skipping over the ground there. She's not a big chesty filly, but she's only a baby. She's got plenty of room to scope out, but clearly she's in the right barn to do so. Gee, it's good to have Mick Boots involved in New Zealand racing. He's spending a lot of money. That money goes into other people's pockets, Greg, and he's got a truckload of horses all over New South Wales, so he's become a huge investor. But I agree, second horse, really good. It appears to have slightly more scope. Again, how much they grow during their 2-year-old career and how that they handle that bigger body probably gives us an idea of where she'll end up. But yeah, pretty nice crop, Greg. I don't mind this crop. I think sometimes you see crops and you go, Sometimes in these races like the Leonard Memorial and stuff, you see horses and the winner looks really good and the rest of them aren't going to want to race in their life, or they might win one. That's not this crop. And of course, Barry and Scotty have a really good one up north who almost won the boys final. So could be a fair bit going on here, Greg. It could be quite a fun crop in the second half of the season when they all start to get together. Yeah,
well, Music Mistress has already beaten Captain's Mistress, another of the Stonewall team. So, yeah, I agree with you there. Let's have a look at Galway Girl, winning a race that most people expected Sunny's sister to win. She had an early gallop, just knuckled over, nothing major there, and Johnny told me that she felt terrific after that. But Galway Girl deserved this. Win number 7 from her 28th start career, trained by Styx McRae and driven by Craig Thornley, as invariably is the case. Let's hear what the man with the biggest smile in harness racing has to say.
Galway Girl for the Hurraday Trotter. Heather Williams Memorial beats Missio, Julie Jacker. Some sort of run from her and Tiamo Bell.
Really good performance from this mare. She absolutely deserved that.
Yeah, she's been racing really well this time, and still got a few wee quirks with her. Still need to iron out a bit, but the motor's definitely there.
Once she made her way to the lead, were you aware that the favourite was not in the picture anymore?
Well, I didn't think so when I seen the screen here. I was trying to find where she was to how I drove down the back straight, and I couldn't find her. I thought, oh, it changes everything.
Yeah, well, it certainly changed a lot, but what it hasn't changed is she is getting better, and she deserved that.
Yeah, she did. She's gone 3 great races this time back in, so yeah, she's getting better all the time.
So, and as we walked out here, it's been a wee while since we've been able to do this at a decent sort of race level.
Yeah, it has been for a while, so let's hope it's not as long next time.
Good on you, Craig. Great stuff.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations to them winning the Heather Williams Memorial. Let's go to Addington for this Friday though, Michael. It's the Avon City Ford Welcome Stakes. Here's Got the Chocolates winning midweek, beating Ribera and Always Dreaming. Looking forward to this race on Friday night. Got the Chocolates comes up with Barrier 2, Party Central in 4, Always Dreaming in 5, Ribera in 8. What did you make of Got the Chocolates and what do you make of this week?
Well, he has to be favourite now. I don't think he might not be favourite because the bookmakers, well, obviously tend to lean towards the all-star horses because they cop so much money, but he's won this going away, and going away is the crucial phrase there. Like he's really running away from them, and if he can if he can lead from Barrier 2, Greg, he's the horse to beat. So I don't know enough about this crop. I was always a little bit suspicious about the deep south form. I just didn't think there was enough depth to those races. In saying that, I'm not sure what else is around in the south. So you had a good look at them on Friday. This looks to me like the winner was the horse who's in the zone, and it's really hard to make a case that something's going to run past them this week. Yeah,
that was on Wednesday, that one. So I actually think that Ribera will win this race. He was in need of that race the other night. I know he's got Barrier 8. The bookies have got 240, Got the Chocolates. He moved around once Always Dreaming got there, got a pretty soft lead and sprinted up the straight in 56 seconds. Ribera came round, followed him, sat parked and was pretty strong to the line, and Blair was pretty kind to him too. So I reckon he can turn the tables this week. Ribera, Always Dreaming's a really nice horse and should be on breeding alone, and Party Central is going to be, I think, a very nice 3-year-old, whatever he's doing now, as a bonus. But I think Ribera can turn the tables there, Michael. So I'm looking forward to it now. It's back to Group 1 level. Let's go to the 2-year-old trotting stakes with SENZ. You're right, Dahl. Now, this was on Friday night, and this was a really good run. Put into the race by John Dunn. Galloped at its first start, Michael, and has obviously improved off that. Second horse, Carla Pixie, has run second in her 2 starts to date. These 2 fillies are going to go head-to-head again. Queen Kaizen's the newcomer to these 2, if you like, because Queen Kaizen beat Carla Pixie at its first start, but wasn't there last week. The market, $2.15, you're right, Dale. $4.20, both Queen Kaizen and Carla Pixie.
Yeah, Queen Kaizen was really good on debut, and there was no love in the market for it at all, considering how well bred it is. So really surprised there was only a 4-horse race, and there was no support for it. But the way it won there, you would suggest it might have the second horse covered, but the winner was really good there. And again, looks a confident horse, quite a bigger, stronger horse than the runner-up on that occasion. Very limited database we're working with. But at the moment, the way the stable's racing, yes, you would go, you're right, Dahl on top, but Queen Kaizen, I think, her improvement curve, it's impossible to judge. We haven't seen her enough, but she's not going to need to be much better than she was on debut, Greg, to be the danger.
Trained by Tony Barron. It's going to be a good contest, the SENZ 2-year-old trotting stakes. A race that isn't a feature, but it is a feature for a whole lot of people, is the Tyre General Canterbury Plains Final. The winner of this race, well, what's the winning stake? It's 16,500, Michael. This is for horses 35 to 49. Gee, it's going to be a good contest. One horse that interests me is Better Than Diva, and Lionel Dobbs, there's a nice article on HRNZ, got his first win in the trotting game as a trainer after about 150 odd starters, so that was a pretty cool moment on Sunday at Ashburton.
Look, it was, and well done to Lionel, congratulations. I spoke to Dean Shannon, the boss of Entain, last week about this whole new calendar thing in Cambridge going to Tuesdays and Alexandra Park more or less every Friday. And he hinted at this being the future, not this exact race, but things like it. And that's comparing apples and apples and oranges and oranges. Let these horses race on Tuesdays in heats, no matter what grade they are, 39 to 45 is fine, as we can see. And then give them their final at Alexandra Park the following Friday or even the same Friday. Work around it. So Dean and I had a really long chat about that last week, among other things, and we're talking about the way they could reignite horse numbers but also turnover, which goes hand in hand in harness racing. Really interesting conversation. We're going to try and get Dean before the end of the season, but he's incredibly busy, obviously. But there's other platforms we can do that on if we don't have time to do it on the box seat. Or if he doesn't have time to do it on the box seat, we have time. But those heats and finals, Greg, at the lowest grade can work. This race is proof of that. And that might be a tool, or as they say in the business world, a lever they might try and use to make horse numbers and therefore turnover better in the north.
Yeah, absolutely. Goes alongside a Group 1 race, the Sire Stakes final, which, the Welcome Stakes, which off the back of the Sire Stakes final last week has been 2 excellent nights at Addington Raceways. We go to our break here. Let's go back and have a look at one of the classic Sire Stakes. Here's Highview Tommy beating Sir Clive and Tintin in America. Highview Tommy went on to be $1 million earner. This was back in 2008.
Sir Clive and Highview Tommy, he's got up in the last few strides.
Michael, whilst Friday night will only be the 12th edition of the Anzac Cup, what about this year? Stent takes it out. Flying Isle was second, Vulcan third, Sovereignty fourth, Springbank Sam fifth, Cyclone U-Bolt, Stig was in there as well. What a great era for Trotters it was.
Yeah, and what a wonderful horse. I was there when he won the Great Southern Star for CJ and Julie. Just a lovely, fast animal. And yeah, he I think he went to win the Rowe Cup the following week, did he, Greg? I think so. I think he did.
Correct.
And look, this week, I don't think we're going to see the same thing. I think the horse who wins the Anzac Cup is going to be up against it, because Just Believe will be there for the Rowe Cup next week. By the way, if you like a bit of Just Believe, we'll have more of him on the show next week.
We will.
Tomorrow on hrnz.co.nz, there's a story where Josh Dickey, who's been looking after Just Believe, talks about how he's been going and what it's been like driving him. This from a guy who's driven some very good open class trotters. Worth a read.
Yeah, I'll look forward to reading that, whether Stent won it that year or the following year. Anyway, he won a Rowe Cup, you're absolutely right about that. Michael, speaking of the Anzac Cup, here is the race leading into it, where Muscle Mountain finished second behind Just Believe, but there was a distance back to Oscar Bonavina. Kai Valley Hotspur joins the fray, if you like, with Tony Hurley in the bike. So will it be Oscar's race to lose? You would think so. Muscle Mountains to beat Oscar Bonavina. $1.60 plays $3.50, Michael.
Yeah, I think they've got that right on this. Take Just Believe out of this and Muscle Mountains bolted in. He should be able in a 6-horse field to, if he doesn't get in front of Oscar Bonavina, latch on to the back of Oscar Bonavina. That's if all their manners are comparable. And Greg, from there, he should beat him. Yep. He's just going better than Oscar Bonavina, unless something's going to happen to Oscar Bonavina this week I don't know about, because he had every chance there and was just totally outclassed. He's not racing as well, Oscar Bonavina, as he was 4 months ago. No. There's no doubt about that.
They start off 15, those two.
Yeah, so, and that actually helps both of them, because they'll be together. So one of them has to move at some stage. And to be honest, I don't think the horses off the front are going well enough to beat them. They're going well enough to stretch them. I'll be really surprised if they're going well enough to beat both of them.
What do you make of Kai Valley Hotspur? What does he add to this race?
Another horse.
Yeah.
And a good horse. I don't think he's in the top 5 trotters in Australia. And these are the best 2 trotters in New Zealand, and they would be in the top 5 trotters in Australia. So one of them should beat him, and that should probably be Muscle Mountain.
All right, we have the Roy Purdon, the race named after the great man himself, and both of the winners, Self Assured first year, Can Go second year, who beat Self Assured in this year's edition. Here is the Dawson Harford New Zealand Messenger. The key lead up to this, obviously Better Eclipse was really good, Self Assured was very good. Old Town Road's back for this week, Michael. Republican Party getting home nicely down the outside. What did you make of the Roy Purdon Memorial of 2024?
Incredibly tricky race. Now be careful with this, punters. 2 things. First of all, the Cup's next week. Secondly, there's a lot of tired horses in this race. I spoke to Josh Dickey today about Old Town Road. He was good winning at the workouts last week, but he said, Dad would like me to drive him this week, not overly hard. So therefore, try and be as lucky as you can and win, but try not to hurt him for the Auckland Cup. So that means I'm willing to park him, even though he can win. Then you got Kango, who got a real bleeding nose that night. Now, this is exactly Kango's type of race. He won it last year, and this is the type of thing he likes to do. Probably you could say the same thing about Republican Party. Best horse in the race is Don't Stop Dreaming. I think he'll probably just turn up and win if everything goes his way, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. And the horse, Greg, in the race who can win and is at huge overs is American Me. This is right in his wheelhouse. Spoke to Brent White today. If Sarah can step him and just run, no one will go near her. And they're not even going to try and take her on, as long as she steps and runs, which Sarah's very good at doing. So he can win this week. He's $14 and about $3.60. He won't start that on race night because I don't think money will come for most of the others. It'll come for Don't Stop Dreaming. He'll be backed. No one seems to want to back Self-Assured anymore. So he's the horse I'm tempted to back top 3, absolutely top 4, and he actually has a winning chance. After that, because he's on front by himself, there's a whole line of 10-metre horses here. After that, the horse who steps best out of those horses gets the next best chance. Because if American Me steps, Kango can sit in the trail, Republican Party can sit in the trail, Old Town Road can sit in the trail. All of those horses in that position could win. All of those horses fall back on the fence, maybe not. So really interesting race, Greg. Don't Stop Dreaming, clearly the best horse, won a similar type of race over 2,700 metres on New Year's Eve. But he's going to need to be bouncing back to his best. He's had 12 runs. Since that New Year's Eve run, he's had 12 runs, Gregory. So he's done a lot of racing. Here's the boys, Gregory, the boys and the girls. This is half the field for the 3-year-old Sires Stakes Championships. Here's Paramount Kiwi winning again. But I know you'll be interested as to where this sits, this form, against Empire City. So what do you make of Empire City versus Paramount Kiwi? Because the bookies don't really have an opinion.
They can't split them, Michael. 250 plays 260. Princess Sadie from Barrier 1, the only other one really in the market at around $7. What will be really interesting, Michael, is whether Ricky May presses the go button like he did in the Oaks and tries to get across them. We'll see that video very shortly. But yeah, I give the filly a good chance of beating Paramount Kiwi. There's just nothing in it. What about just for you, in one? Which way would you go?
I'll wait to see them warm up before I have a bet.
Okay.
I think Empire City has more range, but I think Paramount Kiwi's very quick, and this is his type of race. In these type of races, Greg, I'll watch them warm up. I'll watch them warm up, and I decide on my bet, unless I really like one more than the other, which I don't. And of course, if I don't like what I see, or I can't make a decision between the two, I don't bet.
We're sticking with the Trotters. Let's go to the 2-year-olds, the IRT Young Guns final. Here's the key race you need to look at. You mentioned it. After High Power won the first one, Meant to Be was awesome but got disqualified for galloping too long. He certainly turned that around, the son of Father Patrick.
The second I saw that first race, I thought this horse is going further than the rest of these in the short term. Who knows where they'll end up in the long term. He does have a hop. He's a bigger, stronger horse. He has a hop in his gait just yet. That's not an inherent trait, that's just immaturity trait. If he trots all the way, he'll win. But his stablemate is more likely to trot all the way. That's about it.
Yep, that's where it sits. The other one I want to have a look at is In a Single Moment, because she finished second behind Empire City. The reason we're showing this is for twofold. Here's Empire City winning the Oaks. In a Single Moment gets home really well. Interested in this race, Michael. It's worth $35,000 for fillies and mares, and they've got 15 runners. How good?
This filly's a good filly. After she had her debut last season and won as a 2-year-old, I rang Hurley and tried to buy half of her. She tried to buy it for an overseas client. And Tony's decided to hold on to it. I'm glad he has. I was actually keen to buy half and give it to the family and say, let's have some fun. This is a really nice horse In a Single Moment. It'll work its way through the grades because it's clean gaited, it's fast, it's got good manners. Really like the horse. I was willing to put my money on the deck to buy it, or half of it. Glad Tony's got it. It's a half to Monarch Hill. I might even be a full to Monarch Hill. But either way, it'll work its way through the grades, and it appears to be faultless. It just doesn't seem to be interested in galloping. Now I've said that, you know it's going to happen.
Yeah, the stock of What the Hill, they're really flying at the moment. Let's just briefly talk about the Group 1, the size for the 3-year-olds. Again, The Dalgety filly's got Barrier 1, All You Need Is Me, and Duchess Megxit in 3. This will be interesting because Dalgety told me on radio that they found her to be in season afterwards, which makes up for a little bit of her rankness in the run.
Yeah, I had a 4-figure bet on Duchess Megxit today.
Right.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. All right, $1.85. Take that.
Is it still $1.85?
Well, that's when I last looked, but maybe you've put your bet on since then.
I might go again.
All right, let's go to the New South Wales Trotting Derby. Michael, get your thoughts on this as we go to our next break. This one for the Lees, Mark and Jason. Kiyang Sahara, really nice type now, 4 from 4.
The week before did the same thing, no gate speed, got too far back and just roared down the Menangle Straight. This time up against the boys, guess what, didn't matter. Back in the field is Head 'em Up, who of course was New Zealand's leading 2-year-old trotter last year, but here's Kiyang Sahara. She's awfully good.
She is top shelf, all right. Kiyang Sahara beats Penny. Another great run.
In your home straight, in your box seat, let's go to Rangiora on Sunday because they have a couple of graduation finals. We'll start with the Trotters. Here's Edward Longshanks getting it done. This is the Ann Thompson graduation heat number 1 it was. Comes up with Barrier 1 in the 5th on the program. It's a $22,000 final. Gee, it was good. Has to take on 4 Wise Woman who won again at Ashburton on Sunday. My Royal Break, it's a really good series this, and I think Edward Longshanks will take all sorts of beating. Sheila Laxton has had 2 starts for 2 seconds as well. Out of Ethereal, brilliantly named. It's not without a hope either. So that's in the trotting segment. The Paces series, let's have a look at Clonakilty, who was really, really good first up, came from well off the speed. Sarah O'Reilly driving for the Whites. I expect it to be really hard to beat in this final again. Chicago Bear is in it though. It's got Barrier 1. Clonakilty comes up with Barrier 8. Pioneer has been a winner as well. So looking forward to the action out of Rangiora on Sunday. Michael, that pretty much wraps up the show for us. Racing, if you get this on Wednesday, Addington have got 7 races. Waikato Bay have plenty race on Thursday. They've also got 7. Invercargill race on Saturday. They've got 9. We've touched on Addington and Auckland, both of them with 10 and 10 at Rangiora. So plenty of harness racing for the locals to get their teeth into this weekend.
And next Thursday, before the Auckland Cup, the night before, the sale out of NZB at Karaka. So NZBS at Karaka, have a sale, jump online. It's been a really strong sale and a lot of good resales or pinhooking, buy weanlings there, sell them into a very strong market come February. Greg, NZBS for more detail about those. And of course you can come to Auckland, stay the night at the Doubletree, head off to the Auckland Cup the next night.
Yeah, absolutely you can. But that's been Michael and I for this week. We'll both see you in 7 days. The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Harness Link, for all your worldwide harness racing coverage. Brecon Farms, New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred. IRT, it's your horse and our passion. Garrard's Horse and Hound. Lincoln Farms, Renwick Farms, Harness Racing New Zealand. The clubs, Auckland, Cambridge, Addington and Ashburton, and the TAB.